Good evening, everybody. It's Derek from Pacific Coast Auto. We're doing our hourly live stream. Hourly? No, we don't do this hourly. That would mean we do it every hour.
Damn.
Weekly live stream video. Good evening to some people. Good afternoon to somebody. Some people. Yeah, apparently I didn't ever learn how to actually speak when I was a child, and so you're going to have to fill in the gaps in what is not understandable for what I say. And so we're going to be doing this for an hour from 11 o'clock Japan time to 12 o'clock noon Japan time. And so welcome. I got people from all over the world. A lot of people from the US, probably not very many people from the UK because of the time difference there. Some people from Canada, maybe some people from Brazil. I'm showing just one person right now and watching now. Hello, one person. Who are you? I would like to congratulate you for sticking around. Okay, so this is your chance to ask us questions. If you're a regular here, you may have heard some of the same questions over and over again, but we try to hit all your guys' questions as much as we can. We can't hit them all unless you constantly annoy us over and over again in the chat saying, answer me, answer me, answer me. Let's see if that works. I also got Mike here, Mike Dennis, and he is to my right, which I guess would be to your guys' left.
But I am here.
Yes.
Nevertheless.
And so, yeah, somebody's here from Finland at 5 in the morning. Going strong. Wow.
Wow. Yeah. Impressive.
Okay, so I'll just say a quick hi to people I see in the chat here. We got Hunts by Chainsaw was #1. You win a prize of a wink from me. Pete Bird says, I'm excited. I love Derek. Wait a second. That's not true. No, he says, I love Derek's videos. Oh. It is possible to love my videos without actually liking me, I suppose. Bill is here as usual. I think Bill's only missed 1 or 2 episodes. Episodes. It's not really an episode, is it, Mike?
What would you call this?
Stream. Live stream.
But like a set of live streams is a collection of live streams?
You know, they have really, like a really weird pronoun used to explain like a bunch of animals, like a gander of geese and like a pride of lions, right?
Yeah.
I think somebody should come up with a good name for the live streams.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of live streams. All right, who else we got? We got Bender in here. What's going on? Bending Rodriguez. I love your name. Who else? Water-cooled performance. I recognize that name. What's up to you? Drunk Canadian. That sounds pretty pretty typical. I like that.
You gotta be more specific.
Drunk Canadian. That could be one of 30 million people. Okay, I'll be taking some questions pretty soon here. Just going to go over a couple of people's names, give you guys a shout out for being here so early in the chat. Paulin Pelevid, I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry, but you're from Finland, and so I don't speak Finnish or English that well. Nicholas, you're going to have to tell us how to pronounce your name because I have no idea, and I think everyone in the office has been mistaking that. DeSotos? I don't know. Mike, want to give it a shot?
I gotta see it. Where are we?
I just call you Nicholas D.
I think you're right. DeSotos. Yeah.
Drunk Canadian wants to know, how do you get a job like yours as a Japanese car importer? Aha! We are not importers, we are exporters. And that's the first thing that you need to know if you want to get a job here. I don't know. I don't think that the path that we took to open this company is going to be a successful path for everybody. And water-cooled performance, Derek's going for that 90s Disney Channel haircut. Actually, I have been looking at the sweet life of Zach and Cody.
Right, yes, it's Zac Efron.
What?
Isn't it the Zac Efron haircut?
Who's Zac Efron?
But I'm pretty sure he's like a child star, and then he like still does movies. Now he's pretty funny, I think. Nah.
I definitely don't have that kind of hairstyle.
Early days. But you do have that kind of body.
Woo!
Underneath this shirt.
I think you might have gotten. Is it this guy?
Try early. Yeah, oh, maybe I got that wrong then. I don't know.
Yeah,
know?
I think he's Disney Channel, like High School Musical. Maybe. I'm glad that you brought this up, Mike, because this is exactly the direction I wanted our live stream to go in.
Yeah.
Let's close that down. Okay, so why don't we start off with some questions and some auction picks from people in the chat. Go ahead and let us know which ones to look at. I saw some people were talking about a Pajero earlier.
You want that one?
See if we can find that one. Someone said it's Jackie Chan's Pajero. What's that?
183, JU Hiroshima.
Okay, and if you're new to this, you can browse the auctions live in Japan by using our auction tool. There's a, it says in the bottom left corner what that is. So Mitsubishi Pajero Mini XR2. Who sent this one in?
That was sent in by Bill Courtney, I think.
Did you read the comment about this being a Jackie Chan?
I did, but I don't know. Maybe Bill can explain more about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I have seen a lot of Jackie Chan movies, but I haven't recognized the cars in any of them except for, like, I know Mitsubishi did something with Jackie Chan in the past where like a lot of the movies had Mitsubishi cars in them.
Oh, okay.
But the only cars I remember are there was a CRX in City Hunter where the girl's like, "You think your car's hot?" And I'm like, it's weird that they would use a CRX for that kind of car. Like a car yeah. But and then like an Evo 3 or something in one of them. What are you looking at there?
Mitsubishi Evolution 9 Jackie Chan Special Edition?
That sounds lovely, but
not true. To me, it doesn't sound true. Surely.
Jackie Chan Evo.
It looks like there's just one.
Maybe it's his car.
Yeah.
There we go. Do you know Jackie Chan also made like CDs where he's singing?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have one. It's really, really incredibly bad. But I mean, maybe if I could understand the language. He doesn't speak English in it. But yeah. So I guess Jackie Chan likes Evos. This is a cool picture. What car is that in the background? Oh, that's a GTO. Jackie Chan drives a GTO. That's what got you into the GTOs, isn't it?
Yeah, you got me.
And I see Skyline, R32, R32, an E30 over here. Here's another GTO. This is a Prelude? I can't tell what this is. And then they're mirrored on, 180 series Celica. This is a cool picture. In fact, maybe they sell this picture as a print that we can blow up and put on our wall.
Or our bedrooms. What?
I'm married, Mike. If I put Jackie Chan up in my bedroom, I don't think I'd be married anymore.
Oh, it could actually be special premium edition designed by Jackie Chan.
That is very cool.
And there's like a version 1 and 2.
Available outside of China.
I'm not sure.
I figured that'd be a weird one to try to push in countries outside of China.
I think it was in Japan, and I think someone said there was one in Hong Kong, but
That's
I don't know
weird.
about that.
Would you like to talk about the Pajero Mini?
Yeah, let's do that.
Pajero's a funny thing because Pajero came out with like a vehicle semi like a Land Cruiser, but lower market position. I guess trying to get the people who wanted to get Land Cruiser, getting them to buy something when they didn't want to spend so much. They're great vehicles, they're just not as good as Land Cruisers, hence the reason why they're not worth as much anymore. But then they, because the Pajeros were so popular, they made a bunch of different versions of them. So standard Pajero was available in 2-door and 4-door, and then they made 3 smaller versions of it, including the Pajero IO, which is the middle size one, and then the small size one has 2 versions of it, and this is the K-Car version, the Pajero Mini, and then they make a, I think, like 1100 or 1200 cc version of it called the Junior. That is slightly bigger only because it has wider fenders, but uses the same basic body. These are, I guess, down market versions of the Jimny, the Suzuki Jimny, or otherwise known as the Samurai. And the reason why they're down market is because they can't handle off-road as well, but because of the independent suspension, they're going to be more comfortable on the road. And I think that they're cool. They're not as easy to lift or to modify as the Jimny, because they have spring suspension and independent suspension, not solid axle. Solid axle with leaf springs is very easy to lift up. This one's a 1997. So it means it's not legal for the US yet. And I don't know if these are US legal yet. I think that they may have only started somewhere around 95, 96, 97. So looking at the condition of this one, whoa, 300,000 kilometers. That's true.
That's true.
That's incredible. It looks really good for 300,000 clicks. That's a lot of mileage. And so if people were wondering if these are reliable vehicles, it's crazy to think that one of these can last that long. And these are small engines. This one's a 660cc or less than a 1 liter engine. The body looks I mean, it's been in an accident requiring the replacement of lots of it. So the roof and the hood and the trunk and the left front fender are the only pieces that weren't replaced. And then a large dent over here, peeling paint on it. I feel like it's going to be cheap enough that this can be a nice fun toy and you wouldn't have to worry too much about the accident repaired, even though it looks like a fairly large one. I mean, you can literally get something like this for like $50 or something. I'm not joking about that. Like $50 can get you a 300,000 kilometer Pajero, and then even if it works for a day, it's still cheaper than a car rental. That's not 100% true though. I'm gonna have to walk that back. If you were to actually register this, it would cost you a heck of a lot more in registration fees than the cost of renting a car. Plus, I don't want to give anyone the idea that you can come to Japan and you can buy a car and drive it here, because you can't. It would make a good vehicle for some sort of a video, eh?
Pajero Mini?
Yeah.
Like off-road?
We could do our own version of the Top Gear, try to kill the Hilux.
Oh.
With the Pajero. And the people will then know it as the unbreakable K car. Except the first test we do on it will break it.
Yeah.
But that would be an incredible fun time. Okay, so condition-wise, the audio has been removed. Left front inner panel dented, core support dented. Glove box lid is broken. I guess it doesn't close. Winter tires on it. Rear wiper has been removed. Back door inner liner piece is missing. Engine oil leak. It's a minor one. Underside scratch dented surface rust, and the battery's dead. Doesn't seem to be in bad shape for 300,000 K. And four-wheel drive. I think it's selectable, I guess. I don't know. We've only sold like 2 of these, and as far as K cars go, it's a reasonable amount of space inside. So you would be able to fit Mike.
Yes.
Probably better than a Jimny. Have you sat in a Jimny before?
Yeah, they're a little bit difficult.
With like the stock seats though?
Yeah, I think so. A bit difficult.
I think these are a little bit better than the Jimny. Vroom, vroom. Very cool. Hi Todd Jeffrey from North Carolina. How you doing? North Carolina, we found out, is one of the smarter states. My wife and I were taking a look at education in the States compared to from one state to the next, because it varies an awful lot, education outcomes from one state to the next.
I thought the SATs were standardized across the whole country.
Mm-hmm. I think that they are. I don't know, because I'm not from the States, so I don't know. But yeah, very interesting. Hey Jackie, how you doing? Jackie
Good
Chan.
question.
I found out that at the top end of the U.S. states are better than any of Canadian provinces, and then the bottom end are worse than any of Canadian provinces.
Okay.
And so if you take an average of all of Canada, it's quite a bit higher than the average of all of the U.S. But there's a bigger fluctuation in the U.S. And most of the highest ranking ones are in New England, like the Northeast.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Seattle does really good. I found a really funny a picture. It was a picture of all the states, and then it showed like there's this worldwide standardized way of testing. It's probably a little bit difficult to get a really good gauge of exactly how it compares from one country to the next. But what it did is it showed the country of the closest education to each one of the states. And then it shows the states, and it's like Louisiana is the same education as Kenya.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It was really weird.
Yeah. I want to find this.
Yeah. That's all I did yesterday. Let's look at that. And now we're going to take a look at this very cool Jackie Chan modified trunk that lowers your trunk room for basically no reason. Funny.
Style points.
Yeah, definitely not style points.
We have a question from SVNBit.
Okay.
Can you tell from the auction sheet what repairs RA and R grade vehicles have? Always a panel repair or more extensive damage or repair?
Yeah, it's always going to be more extensive damage repair if it's a grade R or a grade RA than just a panel. If a panel is replaced, then this car can still be a grade 3.5 or in some cases a grade 4. If it has had an accident, it'll always mention on here where the accident was. Like for example, in this case here, it's an R grade and it says right front inner panel dented and core support dented. And what this word dented is a little bit strange too. Basically what it means is deformed, but not really, and so that's the reason why we translate it as dented. What has happened is the car has been something bent, and then they've bent it back, and it's in the same basic location, but there may be some signs of it not being exactly perfect, like for example the panel gaps. And so if that concerns you, then just don't go for the R grade. For most cars you can be fine not getting an R grade, but if the car is like a really old or really rare car, like the 8.6 these days are really hard to find without being in an accident. Was that all the question there?
Yep.
I'm still stuck in the comments about the Derek's boy band here. Let's scroll down a bit. I don't want people talking about that.
Now we got another.
I'm going to quickly answer this one. Kingston Morrissey says, need to import to Halifax. Can you explain the pricing? And he says, Mike, you rock. Okay, so pricing for all countries is the same except for the cost of shipping. And so to begin with, there is the cost of the car. Like for example, if you bought this Pajero here, you would pay $50 for it. And then there's our fee. And our fee for cars that are under 1,000,000 yen is 100,000 yen, or about $950 at the current exchange rate. Then on top of that, there's transport in Japan. This one comes from Hiroshima. And on our website, we have a list of all the transport costs. And I'll actually bring that up right now. So it's www.pacificcoastjdm.com/inland transport, and here you can take a look at all of the auction houses that we can buy from and how much it costs in yen to send that one to you. And so the cost of the car, service fee, transport, and then the cost of shipping. And so to Halifax, that's one of the more expensive shipping ports around the world. For a car like the Pajero, will probably be around 120,000 yen. Regular size car around 150,000 yen. And then it's based on the size of the car. So the bigger the car, the more expensive it's going to be. It is one of the downsides of Halifax, but it's a small port and it's kind of out of the way. And so I guess it kind of has to be a little bit expensive. And then you also have to remember that when you bring it in, you have to pay for import fees. So there's like in Canada, that would be port fees, AC excise tax, consumption tax of 5%, duty of 6.1%, and a customs broker fee if you're hiring a customs broker for that. And then the car is washed in Japan before it goes to Canada. Some countries require that, and then we pay for that as part of our service fee. And also, it's good to remember too that like our 100,000 yen is it's a fee that includes everything, and we don't mark anything up. And so it's really easy for exporters to have a fee of like 60,000 yen that looks very appealing, but then they're going to be sneaky and add extra fees. And you know, we've been in this business for a very long time. We understand how much it costs to actually run the business and to make each sale, and the amount that we charge is not too much. In fact, it's probably too little. We haven't really changed our fee since we started doing business 10 years ago. And so I would say that it's a remarkable deal compared to most other exporters, is what I think. One point, yeah, so from Japan to Halifax, this is somebody in Halifax who's saying that. It's, I think, 5 weeks from departure until arrival in Halifax. No, 4 weeks.
Longer. I think it's like 1.5.
No,
2 months.
because that vessel goes over to
The East Coast first, right?
it goes over to Europe after Halifax, and then Europe is like 6 weeks. I'd say four months or 5 months.
4 weeks or 5 weeks. 4 or 5 months.
4 weeks or 5 weeks, but it has to stay in Japan for 3 weeks or 4 weeks before it exports too, because you have to wait for the next vessel. And so all that together, probably 2 months is a good thing to keep in mind. And yeah, it sucks, but the good thing about Halifax is that the cost of houses is really cheap, and it's the only place in Canada that's cheap is East Coast. Maybe even schools in Canada are really good on the East Coast, I don't know. So, do y'all take care of all the paperwork that goes into importing a car to the USA? Well, we take care of all the paperwork for exporting, and we give you all the paperwork you need for importing, but our job is not importing, because we're not an import company. We're in Japan, where we export. And so, what we can do in the US is we can set you up with a broker, and then that broker can do all of the paperwork to make the car legal. And in the US, they don't really want you to be importing your car personally. They want you to hire a broker because it's very complex. And so the broker costs would be $250 if you use our broker. Our broker pays for the bond, so you don't have to worry about that. And it's pretty simple. You pay the man, you get the car. So pretty easy, I think. And we can ship cars directly to Montreal only if you buy by container, and then that's only worth it if you're shipping 4 cars. And otherwise we'll ship to Vancouver, and then it hops a train over to Montreal. Montreal is halfway in between, so let's see. It's still slightly faster and slightly cheaper to do Vancouver compared to Halifax, only because Halifax is so expensive. And there are no more city turbos in the rest of the world.
Oh, that was Bill Courtney answering Kingston's question, which was, what's your all-time favorite, or what's your all-time dream car if money was no object?
Yeah, you know what? A friend of mine just asked me. He's like, I want to drop 4 million yen on a car, so what do you recommend that's going to be a good car that's not going to depreciate in value? That's a difficult question. He said, what would you buy? And I want to hear what your answer to this is, Mike. I came up with a car, but only upon him reminding me of a car that we talked about in the past.
He wants it specifically to make money, or?
Well, he wants to buy a car, and he doesn't want to lose money, I guess. I don't know. But and he said something maybe a little bit flashy. Because I dropped the Land Cruiser words, and he's like, not flashy.
Land Cruisers are sweet.
Yes, Land Cruisers are hecka sweet. That's the censored version of hella sweet. What? So you want to think about it?
Yeah.
If I tell you mine, then you might want it too.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I started out saying all the cars that I really want cost way less than that, because I'm not really a flashy kind of car guy.
Yeah.
And so I started off by saying S2000 and CL7 Accord Type R. And a Land Cruiser 70 series with a small lift and some bigger tires. But all of those are somewhere around $1 million or $1.5 million. Yeah. The Accord is less than $1 million in most cases.
You could get all of those for $4 million.
Yeah, you definitely could.
Do that.
And then and then he reminded me of the car that I actually want. But you have to get a bad condition version of it if you buy it for that price.
Yeah.
But this car, in my experience, is good when it's in bad condition still.
I was thinking Lancia, and then I was like, yeah.
I do like the Lancia, but I can't spend that much on that car. The Lancia Delta. That's a good pick for the Nissan Stagia 260 RS. But 4 million yen would be the very, very, very top of that. And I think most people would just go for GTR at that price. Yeah, S2000s are already going up in value. It's weird for a car that is that new to start the increase in value. Usually cars come down, 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 down until about between 15 and 20 years old, and then they'll start going up. It's more so once they get to about 25 years old, they start to go up.
Oh, this is actually a good question. What is the biggest mistake new car buyers make?
Oh, we could go on.
There's a lot.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot. But I will say the car that I picked for 4 million yen is the NSX.
Oh yeah, okay.
Good pick, right?
Yeah.
A 4 million yen one is kind of like a 5 out of 10
Yeah.
though. But I'd go for a higher mileage, like 200,000 kilometers, because I think that they run very well in higher mileage and very reliable cars. With manual transmission, I wouldn't get an auto in that one.
Yeah. That's tough to beat.
You'd get a GTO, right?
No.
The world's best GTO for 4 million.
I don't want that. I don't want it.
You get one with 10 kilometers on it.
Yeah.
Put it. Look at my car, everybody.
I don't really.
It's a hard answer, or a hard question to answer, isn't it?
Yeah, because I'm similar to you. I wouldn't want a car that expensive because I want to drive it and enjoy it, and I don't want to. Like, if you're getting a car to make money, that's not really what you want to be doing.
Mm-hmm. I do want to get into that. I just want to answer Cedric Cecil's. Tell me about the yearly tax return. The taxes in Japan, the consumption tax of 8%. A lot of people haven't really thought about this, but a consumption tax is basically taxing your country's citizens based on anything that they consume. So if they consume toilet paper, they get taxed on that. If they consume cars, they get taxed on that. But what if you buy something, but nobody in Japan is going to consume it? That means that by law, you can't charge tax to that person. You can charge 8%. You're just not allowed to call that the 8% tax because it's not tax. And there are a lot of exporters that don't mention this, but they charge you the tax on the car. And then if you buy a 1 million yen car, like a $9,500 car, you're paying almost $1,000 in taxes. Or like $700 in taxes. Yeah. That's a big juicy amount. Like $700 is more profit than we make on a single car. And so this is one of the easy ways that some people come in. Like, it's very easy, and this kind of goes back to the question, Mike, you were talking about of what is one of the biggest mistakes that new customers make is there's a big difference in the amount of knowledge that your exporter has about the industry and most consumers and the knowledge that they have about the industry. And when there's a big separation between the amount of knowledge, it makes it very easy for the exporters to scam the buyers. And this is one of the ways that they do that, is they'll charge the tax on it, they'll pocket that extra $700, and then it doesn't matter to them that their service fee is only like, we're only making $300 on this, but really they're making $1,500, which is 3 times as much as we make. And so for us, it's a big frustration that we're working very, very hard, and then there are other people that are scamming their customers and making way more money than we are, and then they get to drive nice cars and live in nice houses when they're being dishonest. And so I find that incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
And they don't even have to work as hard either. Like, they can sell 1/3 of as many cars as we sell and make more money than we do.
Yeah.
It's very easy to do that. And even beyond that, there are so many ways that it's very easy to scam the customers further beyond that. And so
yeah.
we're lucky that most of our sales go to buyers that are experienced and have been buying from us for a very long time, because I think that we're best suited for long-term customers in that regard. It's hard for us to make money, to be honest, on a one-and-done type of customer. And I mean, luckily, when somebody buys a car, oftentimes they'll come back 6 months later or a year later, or in some cases like 3 or 4 years later, and want to buy another car. That's very nice for us. But the meat and potatoes of how we make our money is from customers that are buying 3 or 4 or more cars per month.
I was actually going to say pretty much the same thing, that the biggest mistake new buyers would make is paying too little. And that's like either choosing a company that looks like it's
Can they
really
hear
cheap.
you?
I think so. Either choosing a company that looks really cheap at the outset and then like getting extra costs, or like picking a car that looks really cheap and then getting a bad condition car. Yeah.
I'd like to go into more details about that second one, but just to start off from the beginning is finding the right company can take you some time. You just have to ask the right questions to them. And so if you're somebody who subscribes to this channel or maybe has seen my other channel, that gives you a lot of insight into the types of questions that you're going to want to ask. I just kind of want to tell everybody, if you buy from us, then you don't have nothing to worry about, but that's probably what the bad guys would say too.
Send out an email to all these different companies. Should I buy from you? Are you bad guys?
Yeah.
No, we're not bad guys. Oh,
great! Wow, the industry is full of non-bad guys.
Yeah.
And then to the other one, the biggest. I agree with Mike. Probably the easiest way to have a bad experience is by, well, I guess kind of twofold. I was going to say the easiest, but it's not really the easiest. There's two things here. One, if you don't fully understand our terms of service and you jump into it enthusiastically, you may not understand what our company does compared to what your thoughts of our company does. So you got to take extra care to read those terms of service. And we are, like, a lot of companies don't even have this terms of service. They just do business because they know if there's nothing written down and nothing agreed upon, then they can't get into any trouble here in Japan.
Yeah.
So it's very, very, like 80% of exporters don't have a terms of service that they make their customers sign.
Send us a deposit, we'll buy you a car.
Yep. Or we won't send you a car.
Yeah.
And so if you read it and you understand it and you agree with it, then likely we're not going to have any problems. And we have very few customers that have had poor experiences that they blame us for. I mean, it does happen because we will sell to pretty much anyone who wants a car from us. Very seldomly will we turn down a customer for specific reasons, and usually that's only after they've broken some rules or proved that they're not capable of understanding or playing by the rules that we do business in.
Yeah.
And so so that's one thing, is you really need to understand what we do. And probably the biggest thing of that is we don't sell cars, and we had an email this morning that was like this. I bought a car from you and Mike didn't tell me that this. But
yeah.
We don't know. That's all we do, is allow you to pick your own cars and allow you to buy those cars. We only know what you know about the condition of that car. Sometimes we can read between the lines a little bit, and then we can advise you on that. But things like Mike, he said Mike didn't tell me that the vehicle had been smoked in. But there's unfortunately no way of telling if a car's been smoked in when you buy it at auction. And
I certainly didn't go and look at the car or sit in the car and know that it was smoked in either. So that's
right.
And I think that comes back to reading the terms of service and understanding.
Yeah, and it's difficult too, because a lot of our customers don't speak English natively. We sell to people around the world, but we only do business in English. And then what was the other part about that I was talking? Oh yeah, okay, so there's one kind of big misunderstanding that a lot of customers have, is that Mike's just going to go do a bid right now, is that a lot of people think this is auctions, this gives me a chance to buy cars for a really cheap price, and they kind of conflate Japanese auctions with what their idea of an auction is. For example, auctions give you a chance to buy well under the value, which is true because this is where the dealers buy their cars from. But it's not true that the auction cars always have a chance to get a cheap price for a car. And as an example, like a Mitsubishi Pajero Mini here, it's a very, very uncommon car. You might be able to get this one for a lucky price, but something like a Skyline or a Supra or a Silvia or an Evo, or basically any of the sports cars, have high enough demand that there are no lucky prices for that. And so people come into it not really communicating with us enough and saying that their strategy is to be low bidding on things until they win. That is probably the easiest way for you to end up with a poor condition car. And I think the easiest way to explain this is that the auctions have buyers from different with different criteria. For example, there are buyers in Japan, the dealers in Japan, and then there are exporters, and it's maybe 50-50 between the two who buys the cars, maybe a little bit more on the exporter side. And so the dealers here in Japan, they know they can make big profits off of the cars as long as the cars are in good condition, and they want a car that requires the least amount of work before they can sell it. And so if they see the car in person and it's very good, they'll bid very, very strong on that car. And this is what you'll notice when some cars are like, wow, why did that sell for that much? Usually these sell for $1,000,000. This one sold for 1.3. It turned out that the auction sheet didn't express exactly how nice that car was. And then you have the other side too. You have auction sheets that don't express how bad the car was. And usually these cars are the ones that are completely forgotten about by the dealers who pre-screen them in person. And so while we don't look at the cars in person before we buy, hence the really, 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 really cheap way that you can buy, this is as wholesale as it gets, you have a chance to buy a poor condition car, but you will likely only get a poor condition car if you're bidding below the average prices that they sell for. And so this is a struggle for us to communicate to the customers that you're low bidding. This is wasting time for us, and it's wasting time for you if you're looking to profit off of this. But it's also almost guaranteeing that you're getting a poor condition car. And this is frustrating because when we explain this to customers, we get a lot of pushback from the customers. They say, well, I've seen this car sell for this much, and that's kind of what I had in mind when I signed up. Or maybe they don't even verbalize that in that much detail. They say, no, I think you're boosting this up so that you can make a quick sale. I mean, it does help us if we make a quick sale, but at the same time, if our customers aren't happy, they won't come back for more cars. And like I said earlier, if we sell one and done to a customer, we basically don't make any profit off of that. We want to sell to someone and then have them come back and buy more as frequently as they can. This is how we make money. So yeah, pushing someone into a sale that they're not going to like is a bad way for us to continue the business. And we've kind of built our business around a strategy that creates a lot of satisfaction in the customers that are buying. So hopefully that answered. It was a little bit long-winded, so sorry about that. Did we win the car, Mike?
We did.
Woo! What did we win?
Honda Active.
Yes!
One of many.
Yeah, we buy a lot of Actias, but we won one. Congratulations. The person who won that might even be in the chat. I haven't looked in the chat in a while. Pete wants to know, bro, do you guys got ice cream trucks over there? There are no ice cream trucks on the road.
Heck of ice cream trucks!
Huh?
No. It's just the way the question was worded. I like it.
Yeah, so they don't have ice cream trucks that drive around, but they have other food trucks that drive around. Oddly, baked potatoes is one, and they're really good. They drive around in the winter and they sell their baked potatoes. They have a loudspeaker and they're like, we have baked potatoes, and they sing a song. It's really funny.
What if you had a baked potato track car? You'd be the most popular person at the track. Roll up, cook baked potatoes, and then go
Especially,
out for a rip.
right? If you finished your racing,
Yeah.
and you were cooking the potatoes as you were racing, and then when you were done, you can be like, hey man, good race, and you give them a potato.
Like the shake with the money in the hand, like a potato.
Or the girl that keeps her money in her shirt, right?
Oh.
Take a potato out. Oh man, that sounds like a legitimate good idea.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts on buying American cars at auction? I see a good amount of Corvettes. It depends on the car. So a lot of American cars that were never sold in Japan are imported in Japan for the purpose of making money off of them. And so for cars in that category, they'll have a higher value in Japan than they will in the country that they come from. Otherwise, nobody would do that business. But markets change, and after that car has been in Japan for a long enough time, if the popularity of that car goes down, then the value will go down, and it may be good to re-import that to the original country. You'd have to have a good eye on prices both in Japan and in your country in order for that to make sense. And there are some cars that are worth it to do that, and I think Corvettes may be one of them. Falling Pizzas 11, love the name. Anyone in the chat? Daily a K-van. I've never dailied a K-van, but I've spent enough time driving them. I don't think that they're particularly bad, but they're, especially the older ones, the Every or the Acti, they're very quirky and they're weird. They get really good fuel economy, but they're mostly made as industrial vehicles, and as such, they're not very comfortable vehicles to drive. If you have one with a 5-speed manual, I also find that being a large person makes it a little bit difficult to drive as well. And I would be a little bit worried about the crash safety of them, because you're sitting on top of, well, the engine is usually in the middle underneath, and then the windshield and the front floor is right there. So if you got in an accident, it could be quite severe. Left-hand drive S-classes. Yes, S-classes are very common to be in left-hand drive in Japan, even though it's a right-hand drive country, just because of style purposes.
Purposes of style.
And driving a K car in America or in Canada or in another country would be way, way, way cooler than driving one here in Japan, because in Japan everybody sees K cars. There's really nothing unique or cool about them, but in most other countries there are no vehicles that are as small and as quirky looking as K-vans, and so in that respect I think that the style points would be a good reason to get those. Nissan Skyline wagon. We've sold a 2-liter turbo Nissan Skyline wagon, and in case people didn't know, they actually made station wagon versions of the Skyline. I think it was an FJ20 engine. So that's what it looks like. The final generation of the Skyline wagons was the R30s, which is what this one is, and this one's an early model R30.
That looks so good.
Doesn't it?
I like
These
the
are incredible cars. This generation of the Skyline is so nice, and the fact that it came as a wagon is just incredible.
Yeah. Ah. Okay, to answer your question about 4 million yen, this one.
This would be way less than 4 million yen, but they didn't actually make an RS Turbo version. So see the paint job on this is mimicking the paint job on this, which was the original paint on the most iconic version of the R30 Skyline.
Yeah. I think I've seen one of those wagons. I think I know where it's parked too.
Haha! Let's go get it!
Let's make him an offer they can't refuse. I don't know, it could be an earlier model one though. Oh, yeah, it looked like that one.
Like this one?
Yeah,
This is, there's a different name for this. Skyline Passage, I think. And then this was the industrial version of it. So it has like a carry capacity of like 500 kilograms or something.
Oh.
And then is a lower end model, like no AC and crank style windows. And the turbo engine was really cool because it had something that you don't see all the time now is that the engine, it has intake and exhaust, one on either side, and then the exhaust goes into the turbo and it goes straight into the intake right across the top of the engine with no intercooler. It's so 80s, it's so pleasing. Unfortunately, we don't have a picture of that generation. It wasn't an FJ20 engine. It was something else because it was a single cam turbo, like 130 horsepower or something. Okay, somebody sent in an RS6. Let's have a look at that one. 38002. That's a big picture.
I like that color.
I just shrank my face. I'm here.
Honey, I shrunk.
Okay, so the RS6. Yeah, what is there to say about this? 139,000 kilometers is rather high for this one. It's a 2004 that makes it legal for Canada under the 15-year rule. I would think that something like this is kept in good condition because these were expensive cars in Japan when they were new. I don't know exactly how much, but I think somewhere in the range of like close to 100,000 Canadian dollars or 80,000 US dollars. I think they were more here than in other countries. I don't know about the reliability of these. I've heard people say that the engines have problems, but I don't know personally. And I have a tough time trusting what people say on the internet because a lot of times people are just wrong. They hear something, they repeat it, and then other people hear that, and then they repeat it.
Didn't we have a customer?
We've had two recently that bought one of these.
Yeah. And
they're fantastic. Twin turbo V8 engine, 450 horsepower.
Yes, please.
Oh, it's so nice, and it feels so good and luxurious in a very mid-2000s kind of way. I love Volkswagen and Audis and the way that they feel very much.
Oh, water-cooled performance says he works on VW and Audis for a living.
Yeah, tell us if
Perhaps he
these
can-
engines are good.
Yeah. Didn't one of the ones that we saw had a problem afterwards?
No, we bought an RS4 that had a problem afterwards.
Ah.
It had the Tiptronic transmission, and then the transmission broke when it landed in the country.
Yikes.
So these prices of these range from $1 million to 2 million yen, depending on the condition. This one would be closer to $1 million. In fact, it may even be less than $1 million because of the really high mileage. A lot of people in Japan are not interested in buying an RS6 that has more than about 80,000 kilometers on it. And since this is significantly higher than 80,000 kilometers, then it's going to have basically no value in Japan. A lot of Japanese people will be terrified of maintenance costs on a car like this. But this engine is a long-running engine in Audi's lineage, and so I think that it wouldn't be that bad. There'd be a lot of people who have experience with it. There'd be a lot of tech information on the internet about it, and 450 horsepower for this price is pretty significant. It costs less than an M3 or...
Do you have the Sylvia key?
Uh,
I don't think Malco needs it. Uh-oh. Put it on there.
the airbags are the biggest issue. I can see that. Ooh, water-cooled performance. Please email me a picture of your 700 horsepower VR6. What car is that in? Please tell me it's in an R32 Golf Mark IV. Then I'll be your best friend. I'll come over and drive it when you go away on holiday. I'll take your car for a spin just to make sure that everything's running properly.
Car sitting.
Yeah, I'm the best at car sitting. If it's an R32 Golf, I still technically own mine. As far as I know, nobody has given me money for it yet. So although I don't have it, I still technically own it. And then condition, it says seat wrinkles, interior dirty, side mirrors have fade on them. They're aluminum mirrors, and they tend to fade. Bumper underside is scratched. Exterior is small scratches, engine oil leaking, and aftermarket suspension on it. And I do wonder if this one is aftermarket sprung suspension, because it sounded like this comes with air suspension, which I didn't know. And a 93 Corrado used to legitimately be my favorite car of all time. Not 93 in particular, but the VR6 version of the Corrado. That's very cool. Is that the 2.8 or 2.9 engine that you have in it? Because the 2.9 was available in some countries, but in Canada and the US it wasn't. And that's a lot of horsepower out of that engine. Corrados are nice, but they don't last very long. Like, if you bought one when they were 10 or 15 years old, they were starting to break down a little bit, but by now, so many of them have just gone bad. They used to be so cheap. USDM 2.8. Cool. I like it very much. That, the 2.7 VR6 is in the Bora 4-wheel drive here in Japan. That's really cool. 6-speed manual. That's Passat. What is that? Bora 4 Motion. And these are incredible cars for the money that you pay. I can't tell if that's a video game. It is. Stop giving me video game pictures. So it's kind of like an R32 Golf, but just smaller engine. I think somewhere around 200 horsepower. Well, 190 maybe. But the VR6s are great torquey engines. Ah, yes. There you go. Pay 4 million yen for that, Mike.
Can't say I would.
And somebody's had a Pulsar.
Pulsar?
Kingston asked how often we live stream. At this time every week on Tuesdays. Well, Tuesday in Japan. I guess it's Monday for a lot of other countries. Yeah, the VR5 is a crazy engine. It's so strange because they have a V5 badge on the back, and then people see that and they're like, V5? What?
What?
Yeah, there was a Pulsar that somebody sent in, a GTI-R. Let's have a look at that one. I would love to try out a Pulsar GTI-R too, Derek Cleverly. I have never driven one. We've exported, I think, about maybe 5 or 6 of them. But they're getting really hard. Most of the people who want them, they want to pay less than they cost. And there are a lot of ratty condition ones.
Did you find it?
No! Oh, yes!
80012.
I asked Ayako to make me a green tea, and she just ran away.
Bye!
I am sitting here not drinking green tea. I'm just going to pick things and put them into my mouth now.
No, don't stop. Scissors.
That's an interesting color. Oh, I am down with the aftermarket grille having the the extra lights in it. That is really cool. And I've seen these wheels on the GTI-R a lot of times. I'm not 100% sure if they're the original wheels, but they might be, or an optional wheel. And then it has an underguard on the front. I really like those extra lights though. Rally lights. So, well, it needs paint, but let's look at the condition here. 165,000 kilometers. It's a 1990 version. The GTI-R is. That looks like a driver. Don't worry, it'll be transferred to Naoko's phone.
Yeah.
Okay, so the GTI-R has the SR20 engine in it, same thing as the Silvia, but this one here is quite a bit of a different engine. It has a different turbo than the Silvia ever got, I believe. Instead of hydraulic lifters, they're solid lifters. I think there are a couple of differences in the intake and exhaust port sizing, possibly, and then it puts out different amount of power than any of the other ones. I believe that these are 280 horsepower. I could be wrong about that. The S15s were 250 horsepower, and as far as I can remember, this was the most powerful version of the SR20 outside of the VET that was in the X-Trail. Oddly, the best SR20 engine was in an SUV. 5-speed manual. It's color changed to wine. So yeah, it needs to be color changed back to its original color. I see a lot of these in black. I don't know if that was the most common color, but it looks like it's the case. And then this one doesn't have an inspection, so we don't know anything about it. The seller's allowed to write some notes here, but they cross them out because the auction can't guarantee those notes on this category of car. But it says aftermarket wheels, aftermarket steering wheel, aftermarket exhaust, and aftermarket suspension. And it has a bunch of normal parts in the trunk. And I don't really know if this would be a good car to restore at the moment. I don't know what the value is going to be like going forward. And so it depends on how much is gone with this car and what needs to be done for restorations. But since we don't have any information, it would be a risk. And so my Rive auction, it would really have to be viewed in person by somebody, and likely somebody is going to view it, see how far gone it is, and then put in a bid accordingly. I could see this go for somewhere around $1,800 or so. If the engine, it looks like the engine starts because they could drive it into the auction hall. So $1,800 is my guess on it. Ooh, got a bunch more comments. Got about 20 cracks in the dashboard. Ooh, yeah, that looks pretty common. I don't know if I've seen a Pulsar in the last 5 years that didn't have a cracked up dashboard. And we've seen prices for the good ones. The top of the line ones, they're hovering around 1.5 million. So that's about $13,000, which is a lot for this kind of car. Even though it's 4-wheel drive and has the cool engine in it. I remember they were like $1,000 when they first became legal in Canada, like 15 years ago or 13 years ago. It's funny, Pete, that you call me Papa Derek, because people in the office were joking and calling me Daddy earlier. It was really weird.
Did you say dad or daddy?
Daddy.
Yeah, that is really weird.
Right? Especially when coming from people who are older than me. Naoko is in love with my son, so she's ready to have grandchildren, I guess. yeah, the G20 with the SR20 DE. Those are called Pulsars, not Pulsars, Premieras here in Japan, and they're fantastic cars. They didn't sell very well in the States under the G20. It might have been a marketing thing. Bender's asking if I watch anime, and mostly the answer is not if I can help it. But my daughter is, if you watch anime, you probably know what the term otaku is, and so my daughter's a huge otaku. And it's weird because I don't know, because I've been in Japan for long enough that anime is somewhat normal now, and so I don't know what the perception of it is back home 100%, but it still seems like it's similar to when I was growing up, where it's kind of looked down upon as a kind of a nerdy thing, Dungeons and Dragons kind of level of nerdiness. But I don't know, maybe it's okay, maybe it's cool to be a nerd these days. I'm sorry, Bill, for your lemon. Mike, what are you doing over there? Did we win another car?
We did not win, but I am looking at bids.
Oh, okay. Well, we got another 5 minutes here, so let's see. Oh, somebody's asking to do an AirTrek Turbo R. Yeah, nobody buys those, mostly because they're kind of dumb. I mean, they're cool, but they're dumb. AirTrek Turbo. That's the later generation. They used to be called the, okay, I guess I'll show this one. They're similar to a station wagon version of the Evo, before the station wagon Evo was out. I suppose they would be similar to a Forester, just much not as popular as the Forester. Foresters are everywhere here in Japan. You rarely ever see these. Four-wheel drive, comes with a 4G63 engine, I believe. But I think power was downrated quite a bit from the Evo powers. I think that they're somewhere around 220 to 250, somewhere in that range. I think they're a cool car. I think that the Caldina probably fits this space better for me, but I still think it's a cool car. And then it used to be called the RVR. But they made a new version of the RVR in like Malaysia, and it's like just the what is this called in Japan? I can't remember. They sell this in Japan, but it has a different name. This is the one I was talking about. Even the generation before that is even cooler because it has a bush guard. And I kind of prefer the old schoolness of those. Let's see if I can find one. Okay. This is a good example with the bush bar, but it doesn't have the turbo engine. Here we go. So kind of a weird car, but I like it. Sports gear, yes. And then the next generation kind of looked a little bit stupider. I think it would be really fun to have this as a cheap rally car. And I would love to do some rally here in Japan. Maybe that can be our next thing that we do. We are still working on the race car thing that we talked about a couple of chats ago, but I'm not going to talk in too much detail about it because I want to complete a block of videos so that I have the very final one of them before I really give any information, because we kind of have a habit of giving information to people, getting them boosted up on it, and then not delivering anything. Yeah. So I would really rather not talk too much about that at the moment. But things are going along, and you'll see it eventually. We've actually shot a number of things that are either related to the race car or related to other things that we're going to put on pretty soon. It's just a matter of organizing that and making sure that the edits are fine. Mike has a new car, and we shot a video of us driving that.
Oh yeah. Does that require too much editing? Wait, editing? I don't know.
We need to find out how to bleep swear words, possibly.
Oh. Yikes. Oh, and there's Moto Compo. Actually...
Yeah, I wanna make a Motra video, I wanna make a Moto Compo video. I still wanna make that sandwich video I was talking about.
Oh, yeah.
The picnic one?
Yeah.
Yeah, we would have to illegally fly drones in a park in order to do that.
That's okay if the park's remote. Like,
We-
if you wanted to do it this one.
We can also just guide you in our way out. Be
Guide
like,
smash.
I didn't know this wasn't okay.
Yeah.
Who took? Are you the drone police? What are you gonna do? Take my drone?
Don't do that.
Just say that in English to the police officers here. I've noticed that
Susando.
police officers in Japan rarely ever can speak English. Compared to even the average population, it seems like it's a very rare thing. Yes, somebody who doesn't have a name asked, Motocompo? Yeah, we have one, and it came in, it was okay. Then it started acting funny, so we sent it to a shop, and the guy at the shop's like, I don't know what I'm doing with bikes, even though I own a bike store. And so it's just
And he
kind of
doesn't give it back. Or it hasn't given it back.
Maybe we should ask him to give it back now, and we can send it to a bike store that actually knows what they're doing. Because I was really disappointed too that they didn't fix the turn signals on the Motra.
Yeah.
Because that's not a difficult thing to fix.
No.
Like, motorbikes are as simple as vehicles get. Turn signals are not a complicated system. I just need someone to do it so I don't have to go and research which relays
Yeah.
work for it and then go do the wiring myself. My time is too valuable for that. Which sounds like a dick thing to say, but it's really hard when you're a very busy person in order to fit things into your life, especially things that you have to research and you have to do. I don't really have enough time at the moment to do things like I want to do. Like, I think it would be so rad to do it together with my daughter and like kind of teach her about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But man, finding
time,
even 5 hours to put aside to that is tough.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're at 12 o'clock now. I think it's time for us to go do some actual work instead of just hanging around and talking about cars, which is basically what Mike and I do anyway. Unless
also have to work
you're
while
waiting
doing it.
for our email. If you're waiting for our email, then we're furiously emailing other people.
Well, in our defense, we're usually talking about cars that people are asking about.
Right, it's market research.
Right.
More so Mike is market researching. Or no, I'm mansplaining to Mike. and Mike is sitting at his desk manspreading.
Mansplaining to a manspreader.
Who is worse in that circumstance?
We're both equally chauvinistic.
All right, everybody. Goodbye for now. It was fun. So see you again next week at the same time.
Bye, everyone. Bill, buy your S2000 back.
He had an S2000?
Yeah, and he's debating
Wow.
whether or not to buy it back. I think you should.
My view of Bill has gone up now.
Bill, you're now the coolest person in Derek's eyes.
Not the coolest person, Mike. I'm the
Mike?
coolest person in my eyes. Thank you, people who are saying thank you for the stream. I appreciate when you say things like that because I'm a little bit worried that we're not putting out enough value for our time, and hearing that makes me feel better about that. So thank you that you're appreciating it. Okay, that's the end. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye
guys.
for now.